Not long ago, Lincoln just put extra chrome on a Ford SUV and called it a day. Now, the 2024 Nautilus as a brand new SUV looks like nothing else the brand has ever made. Strikingly good looks on the outside, dramatic tech on the inside, and hybrid powertrains. Let's see if this is worth over 70 grand. I'll take a drive. The Nautilus takes Lincoln into new territory, where nothing is normal. Not the door handles, the screens, or the steering wheel. It's night and day from the last Nautilus we tested in 2019, and it moves even further away from the current Corsair and the Aviator. And it couldn't be built any further away. China. There's a 48-inch long expanse of screens on the dash, and this, a really small 11.1-inch touchscreen running Google OS. So you got the Google Play Store, Assistant, and it's not like anything else from Ford, the Ford Sync system, other Lincolns. For example, if you go here, you can change these widgets of what's on top. But truly, this really isn't really useful information. It's massive. That's kind of cool that I have clocks and weather reports, but the screen doesn't show blind spots. It really doesn't show a lot of things that I would expect it to. And you also can't change a lot of the gauge layouts. There's nothing except this kind of interesting Saturn kind of appearance that's on here. That's all I can think of, like we're in outer space. And to adjust the graphics, you have to go into this touchscreen. It changes the theme. It is neat. It makes some pretty animations. But really, that's all it does. Here we are in like 2001 A Space Odyssey. I don't know where in the world that's supposed to be. So it's cool, right? But the technology is half-baked. It's not totally there. There's very limited uses here, but it's nice to see the nav right on top. It's also nice to see the cameras on top as well. But again, to adjust that, you got to go back to this touchscreen. And that's all well and good. But say you want to adjust the climate controls, now I have to look all the way down here, and you cannot adjust the air vents. Just like a Rivian or a Porsche, you have to do it in here. And right now it's moving by itself. You can set that, kind of like a home air purifier. It's kind of strange. This seems cool while you're parked. It's totally distracting and annoying on the drive, so I don't like that. But it does have a cabin air purifier. This car is built in China, and a lot of cars in China that I've seen so far, like the Buick Envision, have a very advanced particulate filter. But this might be good in the United States as well. You can also refresh the air at your will. Kind of interesting. Other things, there's a digital scent. That's perfume in the center console. You can blame Mercedes-Benz for starting that trend, but Lincoln now has it. Plenty of massage modes for the seats. But other things, for example, like switching the drive modes, you can press this button, but then you have to go back up to here. And this might seem really nice and cool when you're watching this video, but try driving the Nautilus and navigating all of this stuff. It's not quite so simple. And again, I think Lincoln has a very cool system here. I mean, look what you can do with it. But really, the information that's here, really, to me, I don't need to see the tire pressure that large, a clock that big. Other things I'm sure will come to this interface, but right now, this is all they've got. Whatever you think of Lincoln's past, you can't argue. The Nautilus does look good, and it looks unique, which is not an easy feat today when you're designing a new SUV. Really clean cut, a lot of distinction between this black canopy of the roof, all this dark glass, and the bright white paint, which is an option. So is the Jet Appearance package, which adds these larger 22-inch wheels and resculpts the lower air intakes on that fascia. It looks a little bit more aggressive. The grille, also more ornamental, has a DRL cutting straight through the illuminated Lincoln logo, and it plays a lighting animation sequence when locking and unlocking the car. You can get wheels from 19 up to these 22s. It just looks good all around. Even the side blade here from the door straight to this fender where it says Nautilus, it's another nice, unique element. The last time I've seen something like that, somewhat related, is like on our new Range Rover, which costs a lot more money. And if you look closer, where are the door handles? They are hidden in the black trim above the door on the window. They're not on the paint. So it doesn't retract, it's very clean, and it echoes what the Continental sedan did for a few years, back when Lincoln was trying that car. Check out that review. It was a long time ago right now. And now I'm standing here next to this Nautilus, and it couldn't feel any different. The Nautilus is a two-row SUV in the mid-size class, and it's not much bigger than before. 3 inches in overall length, an extra 2 inches to the wheelbase, another 2 inches to the height, and roughly the same width. The Nautilus feels like a concept car, especially from behind, because it's so blank. It's a blank canvas. There's no rear wiper. There's no Lincoln logo, no exhaust tips, no model badge. Where is it? It's very unique looking, but truly, if you didn't know this was a Lincoln, you would have no idea. From the side also, the lights have a nice finned effect, got those lines cutting in between them, and the same pattern is etched on the rear glass. It truly feels like a concept car brought to life. The Nautilus no longer comes as a front-wheel drive SUV, and it no longer comes with the turbo V6. Everyone is all-wheel drive, and they're all turbo 4s. This one is the hybrid, making over 300 horsepower and close to 300 pound-feet of torque. The standard engine, same exact engine. It's a 2-liter, making 250 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. 8-speed automatic transmissions. And if you choose the hybrid, check out the bump in the city mileage. Pretty big deal. If you're commuting around the city, this is definitely the one to get, and the price premium, it's less than $2,000 and available across all of the trims, definitely worth it. Cargo space behind the second row, 35 cubic feet. When they're folded, 69. And if you're towing, well, be disappointed. 1,750 pounds is the max, and it's only available with a certain package. Clearly, this is not meant for that. Plenty of acceleration, and it's quiet, just like Lincoln says it should be. Quiet sanctuary. Not everything is that quiet though. These 22-inch tires, a lot of road noise. But the wind noise is definitely kept down. And it's pretty comfortable in here, as it should be, right? This is not meant to be a sporty SUV. They dropped the Turbo 6, which I really do miss. It's considerably slower than the Nautilus used to be. But it also, thanks to that 100 kilowatt electric motor, definitely gives some added boost at lower speeds and also in mid-range, which is more than I was expecting. I figured an SUV this big, making just over 300 horsepower, barely even 300 pound-feet of torque, wouldn't respond as well, but it does. And it does make more sense in this car to get the hybrid because your city mileage improves so much. Highway does too, but mostly city. Big jump. And not only do you get more power, it doesn't cost that much more, about $1,500 on any trim. So I think hybrid is the way to go because it makes the car even quieter at lower speeds. So definitely go hybrid if you're getting a Nautilus. What's it like driving with these screens? Well, because it's directly under the windshield, it's not as distracting as you might think, because the information is readily at hand. It's a quick glance, either down here or to the right, so you're not really moving your eyes or your neck all that much. And legibility is also good at speed, so I'll give it that. The problem is that when you want to adjust other things like the climate control while driving, you have to look way down here. I have to do that. And I don't want to do that for very long. So there's some ergonomic issues that crop up when you're driving the Nautilus that you don't find when you're just parked. The more I'm in the driver's seat here with this squish steering wheel, really it feels like it's a steering wheel that I need to kind of reshape with my hands like it's dough or pottery clay, I don't know. I feel like Lincoln's going for that Tesla Model Y, the yoke effect. It is a full wheel, so you get just as much control, but it does feel weird when you're just kind of making hand-over-hand motions when you're parking. That's kind of weird feeling. But if you've driven a Toyota Prius, it's very much the same thing. So maybe that's what they were going for. For a $70,000 to $80,000 luxury SUV, I don't know if that's exactly the car model I want to be thinking about. But it is easy to drive. Torque comes on really smoothly. Chassis control, really can't complain. There's no air suspension, but really good adaptive dampers. The Nautilus never was about being sporty or fun to drive, and that's okay. This is very much like Lexus, like older Mercedes models, where comfort, quietness, those are the key objectives here. And for that, I think they definitely succeeded. Now switching drive modes, that's also a bit of a challenge, so let's try that. I have to hit a button down here. Now I have to go over here. Oh, that's Excite. That's a lot of motion to change driving modes. And now, if I forget what driving mode I'm in, is a tiny, tiny icon at the very top left corner of this 48-inch display. And that's the only way I can tell that I'm in sport. I really have to squint to see what that is. Again, another legibility issue. Shouldn't be an issue with a screen this big. But now that I'm in the Excite mode, let's see how exciting it is. Yeah, pretty good actually. And credit Lincoln with fitting this with a turbocharger. It's not just a hybrid where they take off the turbo like in many SUVs. This one, you're getting the electric thrust and the turbo together. That's nice. Comes on just a little quicker in this mode. I like that. Definitely get a slightly stiffer ride. This road is also a little bumpier than the one I was just on. But ride is pretty good. On these 22-inch tires, you can go from 19 to 22. So if you do want a quieter tire with less noise, I would say skip the Jet appearance package, as pretty as it looks, and go for something smaller. Good body control at the Nautilus, I'll say that. I'm not thrilled to be driving this car, but I definitely feel like all the basics are here. Some pretty decent steering feel, even though the steering wheel feels weird. But good, this is very competent, I will say that. The Nautilus definitely handles better in this generation than it ever did before, either as the previous gen Nautilus or the MKX. The Nautilus is nautical themed, but it does not handle like a boat, which is great. It also really isn't all that exciting. Stability control just cut in extremely early, very early. With an all-wheel drive system that's got a turbo and an electric motor, you'd think maybe some torque vectoring might be at play there. So you're not gonna have fun in this car. Keep it light, keep it relaxed, and you'll be fine. It's overwhelming the first time you sit inside a Nautilus, not just as a Lincoln customer, but as any driver of any car. Nothing is pulled from a Ford vehicle, and I give Lincoln a lot of credit for that. The 48-inch long display along the top of the instrument cowl, this screen here in the middle, which runs on a completely different interface than any Ford Sync system, and all of the unique switchgear, including this crystal-like volume knob, all the toggle switches, the steering wheel. Just look at it. It looks like no other car you've ever seen. And I think it's actually great that Lincoln is coming into its own. There's slightly less headroom than before in the last generation Nautilus. The seats are improved, they move 24 different ways, they massage, but the leather on here, I agree this is not the black label, so you're not gonna get the absolute best, but it doesn't feel as good as I remember. There's a ton of legroom. Lincoln claims it's the roomiest two-row luxury SUV that's out there, and it is 3.5 inches of extra legroom than the previous gen Nautilus. Absolutely spacious. So even though the interior materials, including these seats, a lot of the plastic on the dash in front, really aren't where they should be, the back seat, it's definitely the place to be. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus starts at $50,415. There are 3 trims, gas or gas-electric hybrid. As tested, the Reserve 3 Hybrid with the Jet Appearance Package and extra charge paint, and destination, $71,700. The main competitors, the Genesis GV80, Lexus RX, BMW X5, Acura MDX, and the Mercedes-Benz GLE. Top trims like the Black Label even come with 4 years of maintenance, but the other trims do not. The Lincoln Nautilus takes some dramatic steps forward for Lincoln. Finally, this is a brand that's looking like nothing else, truly different from Ford, and making itself distinguish with style and technology. Now, unfortunately, the Nautilus as it is really only feels about 80% finished, particularly in the software and also in the interior materials, which truly do not feel as luxurious as a $70,000 to $80,000 SUV should truly feel. But what do you think? Do you like the Lincoln Nautilus or do you prefer its competitors? Go to CarGurus.com, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time.